6 suspects are nabbed in a $94 million scam, allegedly baiting investors to convert their cash into virtual currency and fancy coffee machines for high returns. The city is gearing up for at least 4 large-scale drills, mobilizing some 30,000 civil servant man-times ahead of the opening of the revamped Huanggang border checkpoint. And weak consumer spending drags retail sales growth to ease for a 4th straight month in June. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yun. In a joint operation, Hong Kong and Macau police have arrested 8 suspects, including 6 locally, following a crackdown on a massive $94 million Ponzi scheme tied to a bogus high-tech coffee platform. Quinton Yang has more details.
The company involved, Fang Coffee, has shut down its Kowloon Bay office, leaving an eviction notice pinned to the door, while its Wan Chai branch has also been abandoned. Claiming to operate out of Vietnam, the firm lured investors with promises of annual returns as high as 277% under the guise of funding futuristic coffee machines. Victims were told to convert their money into a cryptocurrency called Tether and invest through a mobile app. The so-called voyage plan required a $1.25 million deposit, which had to be locked in for 570 days, in return for a promised payout of $3.7 million. To lower people's guard, the scheme initially paid out tiny profits, prompting investors to pour in millions. Police said that many victims jumped in purely after seeing friends make money, blindly handing over their life savings to a company they knew almost nothing about. The scheme collapsed on July 20th, when the app suddenly stopped working and investors were left unable to withdraw their funds or contact customer service. Police have since received at least 225 reports from victims aged 32 to 83, including retirees. The largest reported loss was more than $9.6 million. The force launched a joint operation with Macau police last Saturday, and the 2 sides have so far detained 8 suspects, including 6 company directors and shareholders in Hong Kong, as well as 2 women arrested in Macau. Investigations are ongoing. Quinton Yang, Cable News.
Building on the successful experience of Kai Tak Sports Park's opening, the government plans to mobilize more than 30,000 civil servant man-times to conduct at least 4 large-scale drills at a redeveloped Huanggang Port, Hong Kong port area, with public transport also taking part in the exercises. Jeremy Zhu tells us more.
Over 100 operational tests will precede the redeveloped port's official opening. According to reports, at least 4 major drills are planned, starting around the 13th. The largest drill, targeting 15,000 to 20,000 personnel, is slated for the 29th. Participants must bring their mainland travel permits to test e-channel clearance systems. The first weekday drill will use chartered coaches to transport staff. Subsequent weekend sessions will gradually introduce other public transport options to simulate authentic traffic conditions. Once revamped, existing bus and minibus routes currently terminating at the Santine Public Transport Interchange will extend directly to the redeveloped port facility, alongside direct taxi access. Lawmaker Peter Xu pointed out that passenger luggage handling at transport bays could slow movement, requiring careful traffic management to prevent congestion behind. He emphasized that although the port has a daily capacity of 200,000 travelers, arrivals occur in staggered waves. Accurately evaluating peak pedestrian flows remains vital for establishing reliable operational benchmarks. The Security Bureau stated that civil servant participation counts as official duty, with travel expenses reimbursed under regulations. It added that cross-departmental coordination will thoroughly test facility capacity, drawing on past infrastructure drill experience. The official opening date will be finalized once both governments confirm smooth and safe operating conditions. Jeremy Chu, Cable News.
Retail sales continued their upward trajectory in June, though growth fell short of market expectations. Retail sales rose 4.6% year-on-year to a provisional $31.5 billion, marking a 14th consecutive month of growth. However, the gain missed the 8.5% increase projected by market analysts. For the first half of the year, total retail sales value rose 9.6% compared to the same period last year. A government spokesperson said ongoing economic expansion, rising local incomes, and a steady increase in inbound visitors should continue to support retail performance in the coming months. However, downside risks linger due to external uncertainties, and authorities will continue to closely monitor their impact on local consumption, the spokesperson added. Doctors at Queen Mary Hospital have unveiled a new technology to treat abnormal tangles of blood vessels and have already used it successfully on children, the first case of its kind in Asia. Jamie Liu tells us more.
Vascular malformation is a birth defect that causes abnormal tangles, pockets, or connections in blood or lymph vessels. It is usually treated with sclerotherapy, where doctors would inject a solution to collapse and strain the abnormal vessels. Last September, a multidisciplinary team at Queen Mary Hospital brought in a new method involving short electrical pulses. The voltage helps open up cell membranes, allowing the drug to permeate into the abnormal vessels 750 times more effectively. With that, doctors said they were able to achieve a good outcome with a lower drug dosage, including improving the looks of the lesion and reducing pain or bleeding. However, they stressed that the new technique has its pros and cons and would not entirely replace the traditional method.
With the new technology, there are more swelling and postoperative changes in the patient will require general anesthesia as well for the procedure. So for this reason, and also with traditional sclerotherapy, there's a very good track record of success as well. So I don't think they will replace the old technology or the traditional technology. What it will do is it will complement it.
The doctors have since treated 15 patients with electrosclerotherapy, including 3 children, marking the first application of the new method in Asia on pediatric patients. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
The Office of the Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data said it received 16 inquiries and complaints over fake visa websites in the past 3 months. The privacy watchdog said 16 victims were misled by search results and submitted personal details and application fees ranging from just over $300 to $1,700 to fraudulent e-visa sites. It warned travelers to stay alert during the summer holiday peak and to check the full website address carefully rather than relying on search engine results. If in doubt, residents should contact a travel agent or the relevant consulate. Super Typhoon Dolphin is approaching Japan's Okinawa and Ishigaki, triggering widespread flight cancellations and delays. HK Express announced the cancellation of all flights to and from Okinawa on Friday, along with select cancellations on Thursday and Saturday. 2 flights serving Ishigaki have also been cancelled. To help affected passengers travel earlier, the airline is adding extra flights to Okinawa and notifying passengers directly through email. Hong Kong Airlines also warned of potential delays and cancellations, urging passengers to check their flight status before traveling. In the latest turn in Middle East tensions, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Iran it has only one last chance to sign a good deal with Washington, while Tehran denied any talks had resumed and accused him of distorting the situation. Quinton Yang reports.
Speaking from the White House, Trump revealed he had halted a wave of massive strikes over the weekend. At the urgent request of Gulf allies, he pushed for more time for diplomacy.
And we're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. They all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document.
He outlined a two-phase approach. First, the immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. which he said could happen as soon as local time Tuesday. And second, the denuclearization of Iran, which he acknowledged could take a little while. Tehran, however, flatly denied any engagement with Washington. Iranian officials insisted that their only active talks were with neighboring Oman on shipping traffic. Furious over the denial, Trump publicly slammed Iranian leaders as unbelievably duplicitous, saying they begged for meetings in private while lying about it to the world. He warned that the U.S. Navy maintains an iron grip on the region's waters, adding that nothing would reach Iran until a full deal or total surrender was secured. Gulf officials and analysts say Iran is betting it can outlast Washington by turning the region's trade routes and energy infrastructure into pressure points, hoping to convince the U.S. that containing the crisis is more costly than accommodating Tehran's demands. Kwon Ting-ya, Cable News.
The leader of Ceuta accused Morocco of encouraging the migrant rush into the Spanish enclave, triggering a humanitarian crisis and causing dozens of deaths. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen called for united action on border security among member states. Jamie Liu reports.
Just meters from the Moroccan border in Ceuta, a 12-year-old Moroccan boy was seen begging Spanish soldiers not to deport him. Facing pressure from local residents, the soldiers did not expel the minor and instead handed him over to the civil guard. Local officials said more than 860 unaccompanied minors are now in Ceuta, where they can be granted protection under Spanish laws. Last week, some 60,000 people rushed past the border into the North African territory, triggering a migration crisis. While most of the migrants went back home, some were seen being expelled by Spanish forces. Still, thousands avoided deportation and stayed on beaches and in parks. Some held up placards with the Spanish word asylum and lined up to receive the first food aid distributed in 4 days. Juan Jesus Vivas, president of the autonomous city of Ceuta, accused Morocco of encouraging the migrant rush. He said it amounted to an atrocity, pointing to more than 80 deaths from the dangerous and chaotic crossings. The leader slammed the mass influx as an attack on Spain's territorial integrity. However, a senior Moroccan official refuted the claim, saying Spain should have expected the mass crossings after a Supreme Court ruling weakened a key deterrent against illegal migrants arriving by sea. In a letter to Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen praised Madrid for its swift handling of the crisis. She called for action to strengthen borders and urged member states to act in unity. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Multiple European nations are battling severe wildfires driven by extreme heat and drought. In Greece, a massive blaze northwest of Athens is spreading toward the capital's outer suburbs, while the Dutch military has deployed helicopters to tackle fires in the south. Jeremy Zhu reports.
The Greek wildfire in Attica and Boeotia has scorched over 12,600 hectares. Near Porto Hermino, skies turned orange as ground crews scramble to establish fire breaks. Although a brief drop in wind allowed water-bombing aircraft to deploy, returning strong gusts pushed the flames past containment lines toward residential areas and Athens city. Over 1,000 people were evacuated by land and water, with temperatures climbing. Athens faces an extreme fire risk this week. Nearby, the border town of Finik in southern Albania was also battling blazes, with 3 military helicopters and around 100 personnel deployed. In Western Europe, the Netherlands was also hit, with the military sending choppers to suppress a forest fire in the southern province of Limburg. Heavy smoke severely degraded local air quality, prompting the evacuation of nearby campsites and the suspension of several train services by the National Railway. Unchecked blazes also persist across southern Italy. The European Union's climate agency notes Europe is the fastest warming continent, with temperatures rising over twice the global average since the 1980s. Prolonged drought combined with extreme heat makes the region highly vulnerable. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 156 points. Top active stocks of the day. Alibaba was up 60 cents. Tencent was down $2.80. SMIC was up $3.10. ZAI was up $70. On to the weather now, mainly cloudy with isolated showers, very hot with sunny periods during the day. Temperatures will range between 27 and 33 degrees tomorrow. That's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yun. Thanks for watching and good night.